Well, greetings and welcome on today. My name is Dee and I am the founder of Young Women of Favor. And every year we have the I Love Me Women's Conference. So on this year, we're doing something totally different and we're going to go with Zoom and do the virtual conference on today. So our theme on today is God loves me and that's enough. And we're going from Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 17, and it says, the Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love, he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing. God loves you. He wants to rejoice with you. He wants to celebrate with you. So on today, we want to help you be able to celebrate loving yourself and accepting and allowing God to love you. So I have 5 ladies that are here this morning to participate in our event. So we have Jennifer Johnson. She's going to be speaking on celebrating singleness. And then we have Sister Toni Ross, and she's going to be telling her story, as well as Justine Nevins. She's Infinite. She's going to be telling her story. And then we have, I'm sorry, Jamila Maxie. She is going to be speaking on loving yourself as a single woman. And then we have Shante Francis, and she's going to be speaking on loving yourself as a married woman. Now, I want to say that Shante Francis and Jamila Maxie are co-host and host for the Marriage Coach. So Jamila Maxie, she does the segment for singles. And then Shante Francis does it for, and her husband does it for the marriage individuals, okay? So on today, ladies, I wanna thank you all for taking the time to be a part of this event. I know you could have done something else, but I just thank you so much for accepting the invitation and being part of this year's I Love Me, okay? Thank you so much. So, for icebreakers, let's just talk about Valentine's Day before I get into I Love Me and what this is really about. So what did your Valentine's Day look like, ladies?
Well, I'll go first. So I have probably a different philosophy than most people on most of the other ladies. So Valentine's Day is February 14th to me. And so it was on a Sunday. It is not from a place of bitterness, but from a philosophy of that I do try to share love year round and not just on one day. So I actually went to the office and worked on February 14th.
Okay.
I love some work. That's what I did. I loved on work that day.
Okay, next.
I'll go next. Valentine's to me, well, this year it was a little bit different. We did something special. We included our children as a part of Valentine's, and we did it different because typically my husband and I will treat each other, but my children being home with us, we decided that we're going to implement the idea of them sharing it with us. They enjoyed it. They had such a wonderful time. And we did little things, walked around this park. We kind of did a hike. And then we also made sure that just little things, sometimes we give gifts, right? And sometimes it's a bit much, but we made sure that it was something that you could make instead of something that you could buy.
Oh, okay. That's great. That is great. You incorporate the family, the whole family this time. That's good.
I'll go next. I was a single mom for a really, really long time. And so I'm married and my husband and I have only been living together for 3 months. With that being said, I'm used to all of my children locking me in a room and cooking and doing all these beautiful things. I didn't know how I was gonna do that this year. So what we did was, I just told my husband, babe, I'm not hard to please. I just want some, and I'm probably misstating this word, but it's candy called Rocher. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Mhm.
So good, and that's all I wanted. And I said that, but he didn't get anything, and I was just sitting there on the couch like, where's my candy? Where's my stuff? But my kids all came over first thing in the morning. They brought me balloons and stuffed animals. And then I sat on the couch again. I was just like, well, that's okay if he don't get it. And he waited until I pouted enough. And then he left, didn't say bye or anything. And then when he came in, it was more stuffed animals and a big heart full of what? Rocher candy.
Oh,
And I ate it
wow.
all in 2 days. And so I was happy and quite satisfied with my Valentine.
Well, great. Next.
Well,
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Well, for me, this year was a little different. All my family's in another state, so we actually talked to everyone over the phone. Just checked in with everyone, talked to my nieces, my nephews. February for our family is a huge birthday month. My birthday and a lot of my nieces, just all family. February is just a big month for us. So just talking to everyone, not being there, but we all did it over the phone this year. So Valentine's Day was a little quiet, but definitely spent with family as much as I could.
Absolutely. Good, good.
First lady.
Well, for us, I think Jamila, your take on Valentine's Day is not that strange because my husband and I do not celebrate Valentine's Day in the usual sense. We even did a podcast about it. So Valentine's Day, my husband's a pastor. It was on Sunday. We went to church. After church, we went to get snow cones, which is what we do every Sunday. And we laid on the couch. We ate dinner. We watched movies. Went to sleep. What we do every Sunday, because it's the same adage. Our idea is that we do special things for each other throughout the year, and we don't want it to be limited to one day. And so, it started off differently when we first got married, but we quickly adjusted. And by year 2, we were just doing whatever happens on Valentine's Day is Valentine's Day, but we have other days that we choose to make special for each other.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, on Valentine's Day for me, I rested. I didn't want to do anything but rest. I mean, I rested, and then I rested. And I enjoyed resting. Watched TV, ate, and rested. That was my Valentine's Day, and I was satisfied. My kids, they did call. I did get treats and things like that, but I just wanted to rest, and I enjoyed resting on that day. So, but I'm glad to hear that everybody had a wonderful Valentine's Day, and it's good to hear because everybody did something different, and everybody's Valentine's Day has a different meaning to them. Nothing bad, nothing good. I mean, it's nothing to be judgmental about. It's just everybody looks at it different. Well, unfortunately, a lot of people don't. A lot of people look at it as love. This is the day that someone expressed how much they really love me. I've been with this guy for 5 months or a year, and he needs to show me that he loves me on Valentine's Day. What if we didn't have February 14th on the calendar? Then what? Valentine's Day is more than rabbits and bears and candies and flowers and going out to an expensive dinner and spending $1,000 on makeup and hair and your nails and your toes and clothing and jewelry just to go out to eat and stand in these long lines. And to me, in my opinion, at the restaurants for holidays, they cook the food so fast to where it doesn't even taste the same way how it should taste because they try to put a limit on 2 hours, on a table or what have you. But then a lot of people really are upset and really feel bad and judge. No one recognized me on Valentine's Day. No one loves me. What's wrong with me? I've given my time to this man. I bought him this. I did this for him or that for him. And I thought he loved me. I just knew that we'll have a date. I just knew this or that. And the sad thing about it, it's not about the gifts. It's not about somebody else making you happy. It's about you. Because if you're in a relationship, Valentine's Day to me should be every day. Should be every day. You should love and express your love every day. It should not have to be on February the 14th. That is where the I Love Me conference came in. And I purposely have it after the weekend after Valentine's Day. Why? Because I found out, talking to different females, a lot of them are still hurt. They're mad. Then you got some that's jealous. You got some, excuse me, that are happy and excited. And they just feel like, what's wrong with me? Or I don't go to work on Valentine's Day because I'm not going to get any roses or candies delivered and stuff like that. So it really, to me, displays their self-esteem about themselves. Because me personally, I think whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're in a relationship, or whether you're not in a relationship, I think that you should be able to love yourself. You should be able to pamper yourself. You know, if you want to wait on Valentine's Day to really go out and big on yourself, do that. But you ought to want to do it for yourself, not for somebody else, and looking for something back in return, or feeling that you're required to give of yourself because somebody bought you a steak and shrimp dinner, or they bought you this Rolex watch, or your favorite branding purse, or whatever the case may be. So this is how the conference really came about, because people, even teen girls and women and even men need to know how to treat women beyond Valentine's Day. Women need to understand that every day should be Valentine's Day. If you're in a relationship, every day should be Valentine's Day. It shouldn't have to be a big heart planted up on a wall or something, or somebody just keep talking about it. You bring flowers for yourself. Go get you some flowers and put on your counter for yourself. These are just little things that you can do for yourself. But the problem is, a lot of women have low self-esteem. They don't know how to do it. They feel uncomfortable doing it, or they really don't know what love is. So when we say God is enough for our theme, we want them to understand that God is everything. God will love you like never before, but you have to be open and receive the love that he has for you. You can learn as an individual how to love others by just loving people the way God shows love to us as individuals. He loves us beyond our faults. He loves us beyond our pain. He loves us even if we had to grow up on the streets. He loved us even when we made bad choices. He loved us even in that situation that we thought was so grim, that we thought that we just had to turn to this person. We had to turn to this situation and make bad choices. He was always there. Sometimes we didn't know to go to him, because sometimes if you grow up in dysfunction and you have no other resources or no one to speak life into you, or no, a positive circle, then you don't know. Some people say they don't know how to love because love was not shown in their home, or love may have been shown, but it may have been shown in a different manner. Many people come from dysfunctional homes to where the fathers or the male figures, belittle the females, and they think it's okay to call them out of their name and stuff. So what happens? The sons grow up doing the same thing, and the women accept that and they think it's okay. So when they leave home or they start dating, whether they're a teen or whether they're a young woman or go to college or whatever, then they start looking for love in the wrong places, because they're thinking that this is what I saw at home. Some people don't even see the love for as being caressed, or just seeing someone holding their hand, or just giving positive compliments without talking about the breast or the bottom, or different things like that. Some people don't even know what love really is. So some people have to find it, but they find it all in the wrong places. So we as Christians, we want to be able to let people know that God is out there and he's waiting for you. He hasn't left. And some of us have grown in Christian homes, but still made wrong turns. Okay. It's not just those that don't know God and they're not saved or whatever. It's not about that, because even in a Christian home, abuse is there. We have ministers that are abusing wives. We have the PKs that are out there doing things that they should not be doing. You know, I mean, just because you come from a Christian background does not mean you still make bad choices. Some people have low self-esteem, and they don't know how to bring their self-esteem up. Some people want to be like everybody else. They want to be like the superstars and this and that. But if you go behind their stories, you will hear of their struggles. You'll hear of their hurt and pain. You don't know what people had to do to get to where they are, because even behind the lights, they're hurting. They're hurting. They're dealing with low self-esteem themselves. And sometimes, you know, we have to remember that it's okay to be by yourself. Some people feel like it's something wrong with me. Nobody wants me. What did I do that is so wrong? First of all, you have to love yourself. You might want to start asking questions about yourself. What do I like? What makes me happy? What makes me sad? What do I want to do? What can I do? How can I go about it? If I had to dream, where would I be in 5 years? Sometimes we hear so much negative to where that, you know, people are telling women and girls that they cannot be, they never will be, or you just like your mother, you're this, you're that. And they don't need to hear the negativity. They need to hear positive things. Well, if they don't hear that, then they start looking for love. They start thinking that it's okay. Okay, well, let's talk about another scenario when you have women that are in relationships and they believe that it's okay. I just want a man. I don't care. I'd rather not be by myself. I'm 40 years old and I'm by myself. I'll just take a piece of a man. I know he has this flaws. I know he does that. I know what he doesn't do, but at least I have a man. The problem is you can do better by yourself. You don't need anybody else to bring you down. You don't need any other luggage. You don't need all of that weight. And a lot of women, and please feel free to jump in at any time. A lot of women feel like that it's okay for that man to disrespect them. It's okay for them to change themselves just to satisfy that male. Is it really? Because at the end of the day, you are the one that is really miserable. You're the one that is hurting. That man is not hurting at all. What happens is you accept that and you think it's okay. But what happens is you try to make other women feel sorry for you. And basically, you're telling everybody else, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's co-workers, or if you're seeing a counselor, you're telling the counselor it's all about, he's not doing this. I wish he would do that. I need this. He's not doing this for me. But the reality of it is, have you thought about what you need and what's best for you? What about if you have children living in your home? What examples are you showing them as a single mother? Or you letting them feel or think that it's okay for that man to hit you because, oh, he loved you, or he had a hard day at work, or you know how he gets when he's drinking or indulging. Is it really okay as single mothers or married women? Is it okay for our children or even our sons to see that? Is it okay? But yet we share all of this with our friends and families and counselors or anybody that will listen. And really, you the one need to make the decision to pull back, get to know who you are, know what you want, set boundaries for yourself, and explore and discover you. Learn to love you, because you can't love anybody else if you don't love yourself. And that is so important. So you say you're lonely. Well, we know that God is always with us, but we're the ones that turn our back on God. We feel like that we can't go anywhere. So because this man is doing everything for us. And sometimes that man will make you feel like you can't do anything. Don't nobody want you. I'm the one that's supporting you. And, without me, you couldn't do this. And what happens is after hearing that so much, many females start to believe that. Many teens start to believe that. And then they hear it so much to where they carry that load. And we want to be able to today to help women to really think about their circumstances. You hear, well, pray for that person. Sometimes you can always pray for that other person, but sometimes you need to understand, pray for yourself. Ask God to change you, not change your husband, not change your boyfriend, but to change you, to change your desires, to open up your hearts, to change your mindset, to help you make better choices, to give you the strength that you need so you can go be by yourself, to help you to love the way you need to love, help to be the better parent, a better individual, a better sister. So these are things that are scenarios that women today are really going through. Then we have the scenario where people are not dealing with low self-esteem. They just don't know how to be by themselves. They think that going out to dinner, going to a movie is so hard. Well, someone is going to look at me strange if they see me at a table or sitting at the bar eating, if going to a movie by myself. How do you do that? What will people think? Does it really matter? Because as a single person, you should be able to enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself so when you are in a relationship, you're able to enjoy yourself and enjoy that person as well. If you are interested in being married, prepare, get yourself prepared for when you are married. Because when you are married, you have to understand that you have to be able to have time for yourself, have time for your husband, have time for children if children are involved, and also have time for others. That's what you have to understand. So on tonight, with these scenarios and things that we have already gone through and will continue to go through on today, we just want to be able to give you some wisdom. We want to be able to help you. And even though this is virtual, you can just write on the comments, and we're going to look at the comments, and we're going to be able to answer the comments and with you, and try to help you on today. So we're going to go in. Ladies, you have anything you want to add to that before we get started with the rest of our segment? Okay, so we're going to start with Justine. And Justine, just tell us about your story and what you went through, and how at some point in your life that you knew that God was enough for you until you were able to embrace yourself and embrace Him.
Well, thank you, Dee. Everything you were saying, I was like nodding my head. I wrote a couple of notes about loving yourself and all of that, because I feel like I've been through each journey, trying to figure out who I am. And, I grew up in the church off and on. So my mom would send me to church because she wanted to get rid of me. So one of the things that I noticed happened was when I started talking to God. And at first it felt like the most uncomfortable situation because I was talking to myself. I was, now this is kind of the idea that was going through my mind. I was talking to myself. And so the more I built my muscle of speaking to God, the more things started to make sense. I put myself in a very horrible situation in 2012. And at that point, I recognized when he was in my life at every struggle that I had had. But in 2012 is when I took the time to really get to know him. I got into the word. I didn't understand what it was saying, honestly, because some of the things just seemed confusing to me. So what I did was I started to build my community of believers and people who understood and have been walking longer than I have. It was the most amazing experience 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I went into this program. It's called Celebrate Recovery. I call it Celebrate Discovery because you discover so much about yourself. You discover who you really are, and you discover who God says you are. Previous to that, I allowed so many things. What my mom had said to me, not having a father, being abused by my brother, the lies that I would tell to myself, not only the lies that other people would tell me and I believed in, but the lies that I tell to myself. I finally got to know who I was. I was able to define who I am, redefine the things that weren't true about me. And it was at that moment when I discovered myself, I was like, Lord, I couldn't imagine. Like, it's almost like, wow, why didn't you tell me this a long time ago? And he was speaking to me a long time ago. I wasn't listening. And so it was I would say I was speaking to my husband. I was speaking to him wrong in front of my children. Remember how you spoke about, how my children would look at, our relationship, and that's how they build relationships. Oh gosh, it was the most beautiful experience when I recognized that God was enough. I used to always talk to my girlfriends and say, I'm going through this. This is my issue. This is what I'm going through. Now I just can't wait to talk to God about it. It isn't about, it's taking that time to rest, taking that time to be still because I rage war in my own head, taking that time to just allow him to show me where I can kind of, build certain circumstances. Really quick, I had this whole speech, right, that I was going to say, and honestly, I said none of it. With this issue that had happened this week, being as cold as I was, I recognized so many things about myself, so many things that I'm continuing to grow in. And on Tuesday, I hit the mark. I was frozen. I hit the mark. I was like, Lord, seriously? My husband was kind of like, he was saying some stuff and he said, so you don't care? And it was a situation that, he thought the pipes was going to burst. He thought all these things, and I couldn't listen to the noise. It was too much noise. So I looked at him. I says, don't talk to me right now. I just don't talk to me right now. I need to pray about this. And if I didn't, honestly, I would have lose my spirituality because I was ready to get in his head. But I just took my time. I prayed. All that extra added motions he kind of built into the system. Everything started to work itself out. I didn't have to yell at him. I didn't have to go through all of that. I was still and I stayed there. That's not so typical for me 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I would have, I would have done some other things to him first before I react.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Well, and that's the thing between COVID and between our winter storm in Houston, a lot of things has transpired, and it just really allowed us all to really think about some things. I mean, because we think about it, our lives are moving so fast. We put a lot of things before God. We were working. Not only were we working, but we may not even have time for family like we should have. We depended on the job. We gave more time to the job, and that was me. I gave so much time to the job, I didn't have much energy, or was so tired I couldn't even work on my own businesses. You just really didn't have a time to really think about what's next. But with COVID, everybody had to revamp, because guess what? It was no warning. Everything just stopped. It was no warning. You had to redefine yourself. You had to redefine your relationship with God. You had to redefine your relationship with your children. This was a time to get to know what your children were going through, what things that you have been out of touch as a parent, things with your marriages, with a lot of people travel and they're away from home, from their families, excuse me, 3 and 4 times a week, to where they actually they were forced now to be at home. They were forced to actually be available to talk and to share. They were forced into that. People lost jobs. What happened? You had to go and use the gifts that God had for you. Gifts that you had said, I can't do it. Oh, yes, you can, because guess what? Now you have to use those gifts to be able to bring some money into your home. But guess what? That was your destiny to begin with. But we allowed our mind to be crippled, and we allowed our self-esteem to be challenged. We'll say, we're not going to say you didn't have self-esteem. We're just going to say we allowed our ability and our esteem to be challenged, to where we had to be pushed into a lot of things. This cold storm, this winter storm that Houston has never really experienced, honey, guess what? I will be prepared for the next one. I will be prepared just as if it's for like the hurricane. Instead of being prepared for September and October, I will be prepared. Okay. But the deal is, a lot of us did not have heat or water. A lot of us was actually cold at night. Sometimes we were able to go other places, but even when you hop from house to house, their lights and water were probably disconnected. You may have been blessed to be in a household where lights and water never went out, but many of us had to deal with the cold. I have so much respect for the homeless. I really, really do, because we had to deal with this for a couple of days. They deal with this during the heat. They deal with this when it's cold. They deal with this when it's raining. This was a lot. So in the times, the sad thing is, it shouldn't take times like COVID. It shouldn't take times like the winter for us to redefine ourselves, for us to rediscover ourselves, for us to reevaluate ourselves. But in the midst of this, it grows us, because what happens as women and as individuals, we were challenged once again. And every day we have challenges, every day. So who do we have to go to? Who do we have to depend on? We have to go to God, because at the end of the day, it's only Him who can provide. He kept us. He put a lot of things on our mind. He kept it to where we had to depend on him. We had to focus on him. What other things transpired to all of this? We know abuse went up, right? Because now people were really upset. More things happened. But in the midst of this, people still had to be strong. Women still had to be strong. Every day we have to be strong. We have to be strong as women, even when we don't want to be strong. Because guess what? We have to be an example, and we have to be able to continue to push forward. It's easy for others to say they want to give up. As single mothers, we have to be able to provide regardless. If daddy said they don't have it, they're not going to do, we have to be able to do it for ourselves. But even we are nurturers, so we have to still maintain some strength to be able to get through. We have to be able to know how to pray for our families, for our situations. So this is, again, just this week alone, help us. And it talks about, it allows us to express true love. I'm sure there were no roses being given during these last 3 or 4 days, but I'm sure conversation took place. And in the midst of this, just love alone from God was enough. And we just need to understand that God is everything, even when it looks bleak, even when it looks like he's not there and you all alone, even when your circumstances is bad. People have lost loved ones during the last 3 or 4 days. People have been hospitalized because of the weather conditions and the things in their homes. Homes have been damaged with pipes. So at the end of the day, who do we have to go to? God. Why? Because God is enough. And God he saw this already. And he has a plan. And we just have to embrace his love. Does anyone else have anything to say?
I would just tell that I really love your transparency. And I just love that in the midst of it, you were able to say, okay, I need a pause. I can't talk about that right now. And I think that just shows signs of just maturity and growth. But I think that's very healthy too, because sometimes as women, it depends on your personality, but we want to solve it right then and there. But it's like, wait, hold up, wait a minute. But I love that because you took the time to say, let me step back. This is not the time for me to engage. And I think sometimes that's what loves look like, that I'm not going to get into a conflict right now with you because the outcome wouldn't be nice. Like you said, you would have lost all of Jesus and had to pick him back up tomorrow. But I love that you were able to say, hey, I need a timeout and let me go take that time out. So and thank you for being transparent and sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you for that.
Sister Toni, you ready to share your story, love?
Yes, indeed. Of course I am.
Let's
because
hear.
God loves me, and that is enough for me.
Yes.
When I say that, I think about how, of course, I didn't always know that God loved me, and I didn't always know that he was enough. I didn't even always know that I didn't even know God for a while, right? There was a time when I didn't know that who God was. Growing up, I grew up in a household where we only went to church on Easter, so I got to wear a yellow dress and a shawl. I'm telling my age. And I got to clippity clop around with the tappity shoes. That was what Easter was for me, rabbits and chocolate. So I didn't know God for a very long time. I also grew up in a household with abuse. I watched my mother and father not loving on each other. You know what I mean? So I didn't have the greatest example, of love, and I didn't get. And I'm not saying woe is me. It's just me being real with you.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a good example or the greatest example of, how to even love me. In fact, when growing up, I didn't know I was supposed to love me. I just didn't. And I didn't go looking for God because I didn't know that I was supposed to. There was times when I wanted so much love, like you talked about, Minister D, about the things we do for love, the things we do because we think that if we get that chocolate or we get that candy or we get that gift or he hugs us or he's intimate with us, whatever, that must be love, right? So we grow up thinking that that's the goal, right? That was a goal for a long time. I just want a man that's gonna love, not God, not nobody else. I want a man because I watch the Cosby Show and I watch TV all the time, and what they do on there is what I want for me, right? So when I say Cosby, I mean Cosby. That was my thing. They loved on each other, and I didn't even realize it was scripted, right? Because I grew up watching it thinking, this must be real. This is what I want. And did I ever find that? Of course not. I'm not Claire, and it just is what it is. So I myself was dysfunctional for a long time. I thought that if I looked a certain way, if I acted a certain way, if I did certain things, and no matter how I looked, how I acted, what I did, I wasn't satisfied. There was a time when I wanted love so much that I slit my own wrists. If we're gonna be transparent, I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yes.
I wanted someone to pay attention to me, and how I've tried everything. It's not working. Maybe I'll die, or maybe he'll just be sympathetic to the act that I'm doing. Right. That's just So part of me didn't want to be here, and part of me wanted attention, right? Because I wanted to be loved. Again, didn't know that I was supposed to love me. And so God introduced himself to me because I didn't know to go looking for him. Okay. So with my mother and my father battling each other all the time, of course, my home was separated, and I was a daddy's girl, even though, I was a daddy's girl no matter what, but I lived with my mom, and that became a struggle. And eventually I became homeless, and I slept in a car, and I bathed in the sink at McDonald's, and I ate what I could eat. And I had a guy that was with me. He slept in that car, and we didn't have no place to go, nothing to do. And again, if we're going to look at it like this must be love, look, he's sleeping in the car with me. Well, he's gonna, the things that we look at and think are love, and it comes with the things that we're talking about right now. Comes with growth. It comes with growth, experience, maturity, all those things. But when you're 20, you don't have that. When you're 19, you don't have that. And if you don't have somebody that has that already, speaking it into your ear, pouring it into you, then you're going to go down a road of destruction until God says, and I'm saying this because I'm speaking from experience, until God says, okay, now it's time for me to enter your life. Because let me rephrase, God was always in my life. I didn't know it. All the things that I was doing, I am not supposed to be here, right? And it wasn't that my parents were paying attention to me because they were too busy fighting. I didn't have any, so it was God that covered me and saved me from a lot of things. And so I found myself homeless. I found myself in a car. I found myself, I had children. I had children already. I had 2 kids. And I remember saying, I need a come up. Because at 20, that's how we talk. I need to come up. I need something. The guy's like, yeah, we need to come up. But he didn't help me come up. So I got a job at a convenience store. And long story short, I took money from that convenience store. And I'm thinking, I'll take this big lump of money and I'll get all I could think of, my little short mind, I get a hotel room. And I could get some clothes. I can get some food. That's just 20, 19, 20, whatever how old I was. I don't want y'all to know my age. I'm old. But I'm just saying, maybe I was 15. No, I'm joking. I was 19, I think, at the time, 20. But I was a nerd. You know what I mean? I really wasn't a hustling kind of, I wasn't grit. I didn't have any grit. And the guy I was dating, he had all that. And I'm trying to be all that I think he might want me to be so I can be loved. And so I'm thinking, yeah, he's gonna think I'm real cool because I just took this money and I'm coming up for us. But I still was a naive, nerdy little girl. And when my boss called me and said, hey, we missing money, did you take it? I was like, yeah, because that's not who I was. I was trying to pretend to be something I wasn't, to try to get love that didn't exist. So I'm gonna try not to make this very long, but I took the money and then I took the money back. And then he said, we won't press charges, but the state did. And I went to jail. And when I went to jail, my whole world said, wow, wait a minute. Because now I'm even more alone. right? Now I'm in a whole nother atmosphere, and I couldn't run to mom and daddy if I tried, because I'm in jail and I'm pregnant, right? So now I'm 3 months pregnant in a jail cell, and I was scared and I was fearful, and I didn't know. Make sure I got my phone, my computer don't go out on in here while I'm talking. Give me 1 second. Sorry. I saw the light go dark. Give me 1 second. Okay, we back. Um, sorry, I was scared, and I was thinking, why am I here? And why am I still alone? And I was threatened, and I was talked to crazy, and because I was a little bitty, little skinny, little yellow little girl sitting in a jail cell. In fact, I'll even go even further. When they arrested me and I was being fingerprinted, I was in tears. And God is trying to tell you something came on the radio. And it wasn't significant because God was trying to tell me something, because I didn't think that, because I didn't know. It was significant because my mother forbid me to watch The Color Purple one day. And when she left the house, I snuck and watched it. And that movie overwhelmed me. And I cried so watching all the things that happened. So when I heard the song, I thought, man, I don't do nothing but stay in trouble. I shouldn't have disobeyed my mom. I shouldn't have. But God was trying to tell me something, and I didn't know it. And I remember the officer that was fingerprinting me, she said, you're not supposed to be here, right? And I was like, yeah. And I cried, and she kept me there with her, and she fed me. She ordered pizza. She gave me an orange and some pizza. I remember that. And then eventually she sent me upstairs. And so just to kind of move forward, I was afraid, and I was being kind of bullied a little bit. And who can fight at 3 months pregnant? And I never had to fight in my life anyway. I really wasn't that tough. All the things I had done to try to get some attention, all the things I had done to try to get love, I was not all that hardcore tough. That just is not who I was. And then I'm in a situation where now I can't protect myself. I really can't. I don't know what to do. And so I said, the thing that I used to love to do is read. I was an avid reader. I love to read because I could get lost in the stories, right? So while the chaos was going on around me, I could get lost in whoever story I was reading. I could be there. I could feel, especially if it was love, I could feel that girl getting all that. They're like, I love her. So I would engulf myself in a book. And I remember this lady came walking by the cells that we were in, and she had a cart with books in it. And I ran over there real quick. I'm about to get lost in a book. And my favorite color is purple. And I told the lady, just give me the purple book. And she was like, no, you don't want that book. She was real kind of, and I was like, no, ma'am, I want that book. She says, you don't want that book. And I was like, ma'am, if you don't give me that book. And when she handed it to me, she had this look on her face like, yeah, stupid, look what you got. And it was a Bible. And so I can't say, now I don't know God. I ain't never read no Bible. Now I don't want her to see that I'm like, ooh. So I was like, give me the Bible. I played it off as if that's what I really meant, but I didn't know it was a Bible. But that's the book I got. And I went, and I remember I sat in my little cell on this little hard, I have to make sure you can visualize this. It's hard. It wasn't no bed. It was a hard metal thing with a little mat that you can still feel the metal part under. And I remember I sat in there, and I just said, okay, well, all right, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get lost in these stories. I don't even know what's in here. And I went to flip. And in the beginning, and I learned so much. Again, this didn't start my relationship with God. This was me finding out about God, right? So I got to learn how he created me. I got to learn that I was created in his image. I got to learn through different experiences, watching Adam and Eve and how they could have had it right, but they didn't get it right. And these are the consequences for not getting it right. And I got to learn about jealousy through Cain and Abel. And I got to learn about not believing what that God said he would do by watching Sarah giggle and laugh when he told her he was going to give her a baby at her age, right? So these different things I'm reading in these stories, and to me, they're stories. And I'm like, man, this is good stuff, I'm like, do you see when they opened up that water like that, Lord? Look at that, And so I got stuck in that story. Okay, that's the story I got to live in. And every month I would go to court, and every month the judge would offer me 5 years. And I didn't know what that meant. I just thought 5 years is 5 years. No, not gonna take that. And they send me back. And I go back and I got another month, which means what? I got more time to read. So I'm still reading and I'm still learning. And I promise you, that's what I'm doing. I'm like, you know what? Ooh, where did I leave off at? Oh man. Oh, Moses just threw that rod down. It turned to a snake. Let me go find out what happened after that. So I go back and I'm reading. And again, every month, 3 months, I'm 3 months pregnant when I get there. 3 months that went by, now I'm 6 months pregnant. Now I'm fat and I'm still reading. And then I started noticing something. I started noticing the characters of the young ladies that were in there with me. They put me in what was called a baby tank. Baby tank is, as long as you're not 21, you can stay in that tank. But when you turn 21, guess where they're gonna put you? So the only fear I had really was, I don't want to go in there with them grown people because what they, oh Lord Jesus. So I'm in the baby tank and I'm looking at the characters of the young ladies, and most of them had been in there long enough where they didn't care. They wanted love so much that they accepted women, right? I'm not judging anybody, but it was only women in there, and that's what they chose to do to get the love they wanted, right? And so I'm looking at it, and the more I see the different things they're doing, the way that they're talking. Mind you, before I went to jail, I talked like that. Before I opened up that purple book, being real with you, right? Before I opened up that purple book, I had a bad mouth. Before I started reading those things and learning the ways of God, there was things I did and I said and I acted, right? But now I'm looking at them like, wow, that's bad. That's so bad. Now month 4 comes around and a young lady knocks at my little cell and she say, I didn't know they called me church lady behind my back from reading the purple Bible. Church lady, huh? I think you should pray for me. And I was like, for what? Never prayed in my life. The only prayer I ever prayed was, God, we thank you for this food. Amen. That was the only prayer I had. I knew. I didn't know any other. And so I looked over at my roommate, my cellmate or whatever, and I just started talking. Because I didn't know prayer. I just started saying, because now I know I can say something to God, right? So it's like, God, okay, help her. God, okay, be with her. And so that was like the first prayer I ever did. Month 5, I still go back and I'm trying to find out what's happening. And they offered me 5 years again. Every month kept offering me 5 years. Every month I kept going back, reading more of the Bible. By month 6, they offered me 5 years again. And this gentleman in there said, baby, 5 years in here means 5 months. I said, what? 5 years means 5 months? But by the time I got to the 6th month, how about I had read the whole Bible? And how about I learned that Jesus died for me? And how about I learned that I must be worth something because he died for me, right? How about I learned that God knew me before I was formed in my mother's womb, which means he had a plan for me like he said he did. Yes. And it all was to come together for the greater good, right? How about, I'm about to get excited, y'all better watch out. How about I learned that I was valuable? Because God said I was precious in that word.
Yes.
Right? Precious, yes. Right? Not, God wasn't gonna give me no candy. God wasn't gonna give me no flowers. I didn't need God to do any of those things. God showed me that, how about I love you so much that this right here, that's my son, I'm gonna give him for you. And he gonna love you so much that he gonna go ahead and die for you. Literally, I cried so hard when I read that part about Jesus dying. I cried really hard because I literally said, why are you gonna die for me? You know what I did to get where I'm at right now? Do you know where I'm at right now? That means that even at what I consider my worst, God loves me. That man that I was with when I went to jail, I hadn't heard from him and he wasn't accepting no calls. He didn't put no money on no books. And how about the kids were his? Okay, so I learned that God loved me. Didn't know that that was enough yet. I just knew that God loves me. If God can love me, and this is how he loves me, then I deserve better, right? Didn't know to love myself still yet. Just knew that there was somebody that loved me, right? And even then, I made some bad choices in relationships because now I'm thinking, I can be loved like this. Let me try this. Okay. All right, Mr. Man, God love me like this. Come on with it. But I went through some more bad relationships. I went through some more bad experiences because just because you know God and you're trying to get your things together, that don't mean that it's going to be all peaches and cream right then and now, right? I'm 48. I'll go ahead and admit that. And it's still not peaches and cream. However, it kind of is, because I can rest in the fact that God loves me. I can rest in the fact that I love my husband with all my heart. But if he walked out the door, God loves me, right? I know now the few years that I spent all by myself on purpose was because I could do that. And I could go to the movies by myself, and I could make dinner for myself, and I can go buy my own candy. And I'm blessed that my husband bought that candy I love. I'm so blessed because I love that candy, and he loved me enough to do it. But God loves me, and I know it. I got to touch on something real quick, Minister D, what you were saying earlier about the things that we think somebody should do to show us love. Valentine's Day, absolutely right. It's just another day. It's a day that the stores make money, right? In all honesty, today wasn't Valentine's Day, but I walked in my house, and my husband cleaned the house. He did the laundry. He did my laundry. Okay. I'm appreciative of that. Y'all young ladies, whoever's listening, y'all better recognize when the man look.
Yes.
Okay. He went out and bought things for the house that I would have probably bypassed and be like, I'll get that later. My husband's not like that. No, we're gonna take care of our house. No, we're gonna he makes it, and he's doing these things.
Yes.
That's Valentine, right?
Yes.
That love that I really, really, really need. I never had it before. I find myself I was on the elevator today, and tears my eyes were stinging because I was talking about it. I was like, oh, my husband said he did the laundry. And I was like, man, I ain't never had that.
It's the little things.
It's the little things. And how about we don't have a washer and a dryer? What they tell you, he had to go wash the clothes. And my work clothes are never wrinkled.
Amen.
Now I'm not only does God love me, but he gave me a man to do the same.
Yes, he loves you.
There you go.
And it's the little things sometimes. It's the little things. A lot of people think you have to spend all this money and all this stuff. You got to have this grand house, this grand car. You got to drop these thousands and these bills. And it's not that. Love goes when you having challenges. Love is on hard times. Love is on good times. Love is when you don't have a job or you lose your job. Love is so much more than just materialistic things, and that's great because you are able to experience even more love. You know, you've read what love is from God, how he displayed, you know, love to his people, and how he displayed love to people, including the woman at the well. I mean, they just ignored her, you know, didn't want to talk to her, didn't have nothing to do with her, anything like that. And he was able to tell her story without her even telling him about her story. I mean,
Minister D, I have been the woman at the well.
Honey.
I have been the woman at the well. And so what does that tell you? Come see a man. How about that? Come see a man that told me everything, right? All about myself, because God will reveal you who you are. Really, he'll reveal it to you. He'll show you the things you say you won't do. He'll show you what you're capable of doing. The things you say you will do, he'll show you that he has the authority, and you might not be capable of doing those things. The thing God will reveal you to you. Come see him. I promise you, I've been saying that for a long time. Even when I didn't have a husband. Right, but I was dating and I thought somebody loved me. You sure right. The man I'm with ain't the husband, ain't even my husband. Man, I've been the woman at the well.
Yes.
I've been
and ladies, if you think that you're in a mess right now, it doesn't matter. God will take you in a mess. You don't have to worry about going to clean yourself up. He will clean you up. He will free your mind. He will free your heart. He will forgive you for your wrong. He will forgive you for even being abusive or hurting yourself. You don't have to hurt. Love is kind. Love is so much. I mean, it's beautiful. When you can even love yourself, when you can love yourself, guess what? You're going to start setting boundaries. in your relationships. It's going to be some things that you are not going to deal with. You're not going to settle with. You are not going to be dealing with the nonsense. And it may not take no 3 days for that when you're dating. Just a simple phone conversation. I mean, and ladies, one thing about it, I'm always going to be transparent, and I like people with me to be transparent. We don't have to, it's time out for hiding and wearing masks. Take your mask off. Be real about what's going on. You know, even when you're shacking, shacking is not of God, okay? Yes, I've shacked. I've shacked many of times. I always say, you know, be the wife, be a wife. Don't live like a wife. And in the midst of the shacking, I became the wife and the wife again. And then in the midst of early on, when I first started shacking, I realized I'm not going to be in a relationship forever with someone that doesn't want to get married for whatever the excuses are. So if you're shacking, then you need to make some determinations. First of all, you're giving up too much. You're giving up too much. And a lot of people say that shacking is the same as marriage. No, it's not. You can live with somebody for 5 years, but as soon as you get married, it changes because it's a true commitment. It's not as easy just to walk away or to break away. And then why would you want to live like that anyway? Why would you want to live like that anyway? Yes, I knew it was wrong, but I still did. It doesn't make it right. But now, because I know that it is wrong, and I know that I'm trying to live right and trying to be a better example and a better Christian, I want to share with single women. I want to share with teens. You don't have to do that. If a man really loves you and wants to spend the rest of his life with you and wants to be with you, then let him marry you instead of you shacking with them. Some people, you know, come up with the theory, well, I want to know what it's like to live with somebody. It changes. I'm telling you, you get a ring on it, it's going to change. It does not matter. Marriage is a commitment and it's more serious. It's not as easy. You're going to work harder at it, a commitment. So I do want to say that. I did mention that when I spoke on a couple of Tuesdays ago, because I know a lot of people are saying, well, you shouldn't have said anything about shacking. That is real. This is real. This is real. And some women are shacking with women. I mean, with men. I'm sorry, because we were talking about man and woman. Okay. So many women are shacking with men because they want somebody to pay their bills for them. They don't want to be alone, or they just, whatever the excuse is, don't let that be your excuse. Don't give up everything. Don't give all yourself to him, and that's not your husband. Your husband could barely be out there waiting for you, but you're going to miss out on your husband because you're shacking. You're going to miss out on your husband because you with somebody else, in a relationship with somebody else, just to say you have a man. The signs are there in many relationships. He's not returning no calls. He doesn't want to come over to see you. He doesn't want to spend time with you. Or he's living with you, but he's not doing what he's supposed to do. These are things as women that we have to determine who we are, what we want. What does a healthy relationship look like? What are we going to put up with? This is when we start evaluating our morals, our values, our future, who we are. You know, and you know, I have different questions that, you know, I do ask women, and these are things that we would talk about even at our conferences. You know, what makes you you? What is it that you like about yourself? So many times that we allow other people to define us. What kind of affirmations are we saying to ourselves daily? Sister Toni, when you talked about reading the Bible was where you understood what love was. You felt God's presence when you read it. When you use that love to be able to compare what love really is now. And once we know what that love looks like, then we're able to love someone else. You can't love or look for love and you don't even know what love is at all. We can't. So we all have to remember that. We have to remember that. It doesn't matter. Sometimes we're in situations and it's always quick to say, well, if God loved me or loves me, then why does he have me to go through this? Or why am I in this situation? Sometimes we're in things because we're working out of flesh and not on God's timing, not in God's will. Sometimes, many a times, we want what we want, but we don't want what God's want. A lot of times we're disobedient. A lot of times we're not hearing God. And we need to learn how to hear God. So therefore, you can't hear anybody if you're not in their presence. You can't hear him if you're not seeking him. And that's something that we want everyone that is watching us on today to understand. Seek God. God is enough. You don't have to worry and be judged about what you look like. God made you, he designed you, and he made you with a purpose. And you can't live your purpose if you don't know who you are. You have to know who you are so you're able to define yourself, so you can able to get to the next level and be able to seek out your purpose and be the best that you can be. God doesn't want you feeling sorry for yourself. He don't want you in bad situations, but sometimes he has to get us there, because sometimes your situations can be your purpose. It can be a testimony. It can mold you. It can break some things off that needs to be broken. It can bring some things out of you that you didn't even know existed within, so you can move on to have a healthy life and healthy relationships. So I thank you both for sharing your stories about when you knew that God was enough for you. Jennifer or Jamila or First Lady, you have anything you like to share with in regarding these stories or things that we've already talked about so far? Well, First Lady, go ahead and talk to us about loving yourself as a married woman.
Well, loving yourself as a married woman. I mean, you ladies have already talked a little bit about it. I mean, as a woman, period, you have to know to love yourself. And I believe, I'm a firm believer that you have to love yourself before you can truly love anyone else. And we learn how to love. We learn from our parents. We learn from our relationship with God. We learn from the examples that are around us. And that's how we learn what we believe love to look like. But I think that the closer that we grow to God and our relationship with him, the more we understand what love really looks like. And I think that it's important. I know that it's important for us to love ourselves first. And to love yourself is to get to know yourself, spend some time with yourself, and do some things that you enjoy doing. And I think it's important that you maintain your identity, regardless of whether you're married, whether you're single, whether you're dating, whatever it is, it's important that you maintain your identity and that you know who you are, what value you have, what things are important to you, what things matter to you. As you ladies were talking, and Dee, as you were talking, I wrote some things down, and you've all said some of them already. Love yourself. You have to know yourself. Know what makes you happy. To love myself as a wife, I had to understand who Shante was. I had to understand what made Shante happy. What things fill Shante up. How does Shante exist outside of the realm of what is my marriage? Because I have to be whole in order for me to present a whole self in my marriage. I have to be fulfilled in order to present a fulfilled person in my marriage. I have to be content in myself in order to present a content person in my marriage. And I also wrote out things like knowing what you enjoy. Sister Toni, you said that you didn't even know you were supposed to love yourself. And I think that many of us have that same testimony. When we were kids, nobody said you need to love yourself. So the thing that we're doing tonight and the thing that we share with young ladies right now today is of the uttermost importance, because the generation that comes behind us will know that they need to love themselves. Our daughters, our granddaughters, our goddaughters, our nieces, they need to know that they need to love themselves, as well as our sons and our nephews, anybody that we're in contact with. Everybody has to know that they need to love themselves, and that that's important, that it's not selfish to take care of yourself. It's not selfish to do things that make you happy. It's not selfish to do things that fulfill you. It's not selfish to do things that bring you joy, because the way we get filled up is the way that we can pour out to others. If I'm lacking, if I'm empty, I can't pour out anything. If I'm unfulfilled, if I'm rolling around on films, then that's all that they're going to get. All my children are going to get. All my spouse is going to get. All of those, all that everyone connected to me is going to get. So I have to do the things that fill me up first. And every woman should do that. Do those things that feel good to you. If getting your hair done feels good to you, do that. If getting your nails done feels good to you, do that. Make sure that you budget well so that you can do that. Because we don't want you doing these things. Oh, First Lady said, do what make you happy. And now you out there buying something that you can't afford. Don't blame that on me. Come on now. We got to have some wisdom in what
yes.
we got to have wisdom in what we're doing. But you have to do things that fulfill you. I love my husband, y'all ladies. I love my husband. I love being with my husband. I love spending time with my husband. But I'm not afraid or not scared to sit down and have lunch by myself either.
Yes.
I don't go to the movies by myself because I like to talk in the movie, y'all. Well, I need somebody to be in there to say, oh, did you see that? I can't do that by myself, but I can eat by myself. And baby, I love to shop. And I tried to take my husband to the mall with me, y'all, because that's what I love to do. So I was loving on myself, and he was like, how long we going to be in here? How many times you going to look at them same pair? I thank you for trying, but next time you can stay at home. I'm going to do what I don't have no problem with going to Willowbrook. I haven't been since COVID, but I'll go to Willowbrook, Deerbrook, Baybrook, all of them by myself. And then I'm going to tell him what he bought me when I get home, So I'm loving myself. And I thank you this. And I thank God for this. I have a husband that encourages me to love myself. I have a husband that encourages me to do what makes me happy, do things that would change my life. My husband said this to me, and we shared it on a podcast. He said, I want you to do what makes you happy. I want you to have a life where you can be pleased with what you're doing, because there was a point in time in our life where everything was geared around my husband. My husband's a pastor, you guys. God called my husband a pastor. My husband's a pastor, but my husband was also a full-time worker in corporate world. And my husband is a godfather, and he's an uncle. And we have our family is my mom and the kids, and we have our life was full. And so even when my husband was in the military, everything we did, it was like, okay, I'm supporting him. And my husband said to me, no. This was years back. He said, what do you want to do? Because I don't want you to gear your life around what I'm doing, that you have no fulfillment in what you want to do. So loving on myself was me beginning to think about the things that I like to do, the things that bring me joy, the things that fulfill me, the things that give me that fuel to be able to love on him, the things that give me that fuel to be able to love on the members of the church, the things that give me that fuel to be the friend that I am to my friends. All of those things, I have to have them in my life so that I can be who God called me to be. Does that mean I'm perfect? No. Does that mean I get it right all the time? No. But I love on me because I understand that if I'm not who I need to be, I can't be who God called me to be in other people's life as well. Because a lot of times, and I want to say this is not loving on me, this is just an extra tip. A lot of time for women, especially married women, we can get lost in what I just told you, supporting the husband, supporting the kids, supporting the family, and you forget who you are. You forget the things that make you happy. You forget the things that bring you joy because you're so busy trying to bring everybody else joy. And I'm not male bashing it out because I'm going to do what brings my man joy. But my husband is a man that supports me to bring myself joy first.
Right.
And that's what we have to look at. We have to be whole. We have to be full. And I know I probably sound like a broken record, but I really want it to be sink in. We have to be whole. We have to be full. We have to do the things that bring us pleasure. You know, and when I say pleasure, I'm talking about heart pleasure. I'm not talking about no other stuff because that ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about heart pleasure. I'm talking about things, sometimes some people just like a good cup of coffee. You know, some people like a good piece of cake. I'm a cake girl. Oh Lord, give me a good cake and a cup of milk. You know, that just let me lay in my bed and eat my cake and drink my milk. You know, that'll bring me joy. The sister said earlier she realized that she had to step away. Sometimes we have to do that. You know, go take a hot shower. You don't need nobody else in the tub with you. Light some candles, turn on your jazz, and just take you a hot bath. If you prefer a shower, take you a shower. Whatever you like to. If you like a stroll in the park, do that. Love on you. You know, we talk about dating, you know, with us. When you're single, you may be dating a guy. When you're married, you're dating your husband because you still have date night, but date yourself as well. Date yourself as well. Go, if you want to go have a burger, go sit down and have a burger. Sit down and just have a burger and, you know, just rest, relax, let your mind go, be free. You want to take a walk in the park, go take a walk in the park. Give yourself time to unwind. Love on you. Loving on you is doing the things that make you better, doing the things that fill you up, doing the things that bring you joy, doing the things that enable you to be who God called for you to be. We are each and every one uniquely designed. And for each and every one of us, just like when we share what we did for Valentine or how we feel about Valentine, for every person, that's gonna look different. For every wife, loving on yourself is gonna look different. But loving on yourself is caring for yourself, doing things that is taking care of you. Take care of your mental health. Take care of your mental health. Think about what D, you spoke earlier about taking off the mask. In order for you to love on you, if it ain't good, you got to say it ain't good. You know, you got to be real with what's going on with you. How am I feeling? How am I feeling? That's me checking on yourself. Check on yourself. How do you feel? What's going on in your mind? What's going on in your heart? How do you feel? And be honest about that. If you have a significant other, you have a spouse, be honest with them about how you feel. But tip to my sisters, be mindful of how you are honest, because sometimes that's a problem. That's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. But be mindful of how you're honest, but be honest about how you feel. Check on yourself, take care of yourself, do the things that make you happy. Me loving on me as a married woman, that's exactly what I'm doing. That's me taking a bubble bath. That's me going to the mall shopping by myself. That's me sitting down to have lunch by myself. That's me, you know, going to even hang out with my best friends, whatever it is that my best friend, because I said friends and there's only one, but you know, doing the things that make me feel good. That's loving on myself. And I encourage everyone, whether you're married, whether you're single, especially if you're single, start to do that. Start to treat yourself good. So you know what treating yourself good feels like. You know what things you like and what you don't like. So when someone asks you, you will be able to tell them. When you do find yourself to be in relationship with someone, you'll know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And then when you get married, keep doing things for yourself. Keep caring for yourself. Keep taking care of yourself. Don't lose yourself in the new roles that you have, because as women, we wear many hats, just like men. We wear many hats. We're mom, we're wife, we're sister, we're cousin. We wear many hats, but we can't wear them all at the same time. But we wear many hats, and we need to prioritize. And you must prioritize yourself. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna stop because I can keep going. You must prioritize yourself, because you can't care for those in your life, and you can't take care of anyone else if you don't take care of yourself first. If you're not healthy, if you're not whole, that's going to be a detriment to everyone that is connected to you.
Awesome. Awesome. And we want to add strengths and weakness. Also, when you by yourself, start determining what's your strength and what's your weakness. Because guess what, ladies? You know what? Get prepared. If you're not married and you're single, get prepared to be married. There are men out there that are looking for women that are healthy, spiritually, mentally. They have things they can bring to the table. And I'm not just talking about money or anything like that. I'm talking about self. They themselves may have had some challenges growing up, but they have met some goals, and they have good jobs, have a home, and they are looking for someone to share their things with, and their desires, and to help reach their goals, and someone that's going to have their back, and they have your back. And I mean, there are some good men out there, but we have to be ready ourselves to receive those good men. And that is so important. So we don't want to ever sound like that we are male bashing, or it's always the male, because it's not always the male. Sometimes we as women, we put ourselves in that predicament, in those situations. So we have to think, be able to make better choices. But there are men out there that are waiting and looking and praying for a woman that can complement them, a woman who God has already designed for them to be with. So don't rush it. Just love you. Figure things out. Know your strength, your weakness, and what you can bring to the table in that full circle. In the full circle. That is so important. So important. Okay. So we want to keep everything positive, and we want you to be able even to sit down and talk to your daughters, your nieces, your other teens that you may come in contact with, excuse me, that you have permission to talk to them about different things, because we don't want to overstep boundaries in different households and different things like that. So you may want to be able to get permission. Talk to your sisters, talk to your girlfriends. This is just so important. So I want to just thank everyone that has spoken thus far. Because everyone is saying good things. And I hope that those that are watching this video are really hearing some things and thinking about some things. But most important, we want you to know that God is enough. Get that word, get you a Bible that you understand. Read it over and over and over. Pray for God to open up your mind, to give you the understanding, and just search it for yourself. Search for yourself and ask God to just fill you. He will do that. He will do that. Okay. So we're going to move on next. And Jamila, we're going to go ahead and ask you to speak on loving yourself as a single woman. It's very important, because as single women, we have to, we can lose ourselves in our children. When our children go off to college and they leave home, you put all your time and your effort, your time and your effort to raise them, to give them what they need. Your life is really surrounded around them, because you got to take them to their appointments, take them to their sporting events, take them to trying to put my battery in, take them to anything that they are participating in. You got to do their homework. You got to make sure they have what they need. And guess what? When they leave home and you are single, you become an empty nester. What do you do? So it's so important that you enjoy you and get to know you, celebrate you. That is so important. So Jamila, go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's y'all make my job easy to talk about my story, because it's like I see overlap. I see some things that y'all have said, you know, even with that, knowing that God is enough, I think it's the genesis for how you love yourself. Because one of the things I'm very adamant about with people, I'm like, Toni, I'm not going to tell you my age, but I've been on this earth for a day or two. I wasn't born last night, but I was born, you know, a couple of days ago. But one of the things is that I look at my life as a whole, because if you drop the adjective as I'm unmarried, I'm an unmarried woman, or I'm a single woman, if you just look at it, I'm a woman, or I have a life, and that for me, one of the things I had to come to say is that marriage is not the sum total of my life. That is not my, a husband is not my prize. Now, am I going to have one day? Yes. God has told me that I'm supposed to be married. So I do believe that I'm going to have that kingdom marriage. However, for me to be happy in my current season is that I had to recognize that this is my life. I am going to enjoy it. So I was never that person to say, you know, I'm going to buy a house when I bought my house at 27. And when I tell you, you become readily aware that this is a couple society. Everybody's like, where your husband at? You know, I have a little sarcastic flip to me. I don't know if you see him, you tell him I'm looking for him. And he can come put his name on this house loan. He can come pay this target. So, but it was like, I want to enjoy life, because the reality is that if I die tomorrow, I don't want to say, I don't want it to be said of me that, well, she was waiting for that man to come along. She didn't. It's like loving myself is number one, seeing how God loves me and his view of me and accepting that. Because one of the things that I've been in love with Jesus since 7, no joke. That's been one of my best, longest, most fulfilling and loving relationship. However, with that being said, from loving him at such an early age, I think the part of my relationship is that I had to grow to receive the love from him. And for me, that has set the standard. And I heard Toni say that, you know, when we see stuff on TV, like the Huxtables, that's our standard of love. But one of the things I had to switch was everything that life had told me, everything that the media told me, everything that my friends told me was the standard. I had to shift to let God be the standard in my life.
Wow.
Because his love is not based upon feelings.
Right.
It's not based upon lust. It's not based upon anything that is going to change. And so I had to shift how I view love. And when I did that, it's like life started opening up for me much, much more, I guess, fulfilling for me. Because loving God shows me how to love. Then I can love myself. Then I can love others. And so one of the things is that loving yourself has so many benefits. When I say from dating to parental relationships to other relationships, there's so many benefits to loving yourself and being whole and healed. On the podcast, we always talk about do the work. And it can be challenging to do the work sometimes, because I can be very transparent. Up until age 33, we'll say that was yesterday. I didn't like myself. Now I love myself, but I did not like myself. But when I started using the tools God put in my life, like counseling and doing the work, I can tell you, I started loving myself and things started shifting in my life. And so loving yourself is, especially as a single person, and I'm single with no kids. So, you know, people think I have all the time in the world, but I'm like, I don't. It's like, I have a full life, and that's intentional. I am living my life. So, but it's doing the work so that whatever season is next, whether it be marriage or right now I'm in a PhD program, which requires way more than I bargained for, but because I'm in a healthy space, it's enabling me to get through this season in my life. And there have been a lot of obstacles, but I couldn't imagine not being in a healthy place to even having to go through this process. So loving yourself is it's the genesis to building a just fulfilling life, because and I think Shante said it, or Sean said it, I call it Sean. Sean said it, is that if you go into your marriage broken, that's what you're gonna produce, a broken marriage.
Right. Mhm.
So my philosophy is be whole now. So like she said, I
Right.
can bring my whole self into wherever, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a job, you know,
Mhm.
because I think some of the things that we see in marriages, you don't turn yourself off when you go to work or when you come back home. So it's like when you look around you as a single person, how are you on your job?
Mhm.
Or do they frown when you come in the room? And it's like,
Mhm.
I heard a story about a lady. She couldn't, she was ran a hospital, but the people didn't like her, employees didn't like her. She couldn't get a date, all this other stuff. And she started doing the work. She got a life coach and she got a relationship coach. And she ended up, her employees started liking her. She was engaged and all this other stuff. But it started with her loving herself.
Right.
And like I say, there are so many benefits to loving yourself. And it just gets, and I'm gonna use some incorrect English. It get gooder and gooder. I promise you, it get gooder and gooder.
Yes.
And so I a lot of things that she was saying, take care of yourself. I'm really big on self-care. I do like believe in self-care, and you know, I love me some a book. I'm an avid reader too. Oh my goodness, like that's one of my favorite things to do is to read a book from cover to cover in one sitting.
Yes.
And it's like
Yes.
that's my reward to myself. Let me read something I want to read. So it's like loving yourself, because then too, one of the things that people in my life say is that I teach them how to treat me. And the thing is that I had to learn how to treat me.
Right.
And so before I could teach anybody else something about myself, I had to know and discover that. And when I tell you it works well, very, very well.
Yes. Good. Good.
So yeah, that's what I would say is loving yourself starts with allowing God to love you, because for
Yes.
me, he is our source. First John tell you God is love. It's not something he do, it's his attribute. It's part of his character. So it's like if I can receive that love and he can demonstrate to me, he's like my template of what love looks like.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
I can enter into better, healthy relationships.
Yes.
Then I can be a healthy single.
And show somebody else.
At the
Yes.
appointed time, I can be a healthy kingdom
Yes.
wife.
Yes. 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 That is
Yes.
awesome. And in the point of all of that, the more you discover yourself, the more you love yourself. You can correct your own self. You can determine what's right, what's wrong, and you don't have to have limits on yourself, because it's you. Just like we make a plans to go out on a date, or plans to be a part of something, make a date with yourself. Pamper yourself, whether it's at home, whether it's outside going to the spa or whatever. Pamper yourself. You need that time. You need that time. Step out the box. What does stepping out the box look like? Do something that you always wanted to do. What was it? Write it on paper. This may be the time that you was able to do something that you wanted to do 5 years ago you couldn't do, but now this is the season to do it. Do it. Live life to the fullest. You don't know when your life is gonna end. But don't miss out waiting on some other things. Get to know you, accept you, love God even more. Get into his presence. Learn how to love through his love.
Yeah.
Because you can, you know what? You can just embrace a whole community.
Yeah.
You can embrace those that don't even want to even know who God is. You can just pray for them from afar. And hope that one day they will want to know what that joy is. Because once they get that joy within themselves, they won't be doing all the pity parties or blaming somebody else. That's another thing. We have to take responsibility as individuals. We can't blame. I didn't have this, I didn't have that. This person wasn't in my life, this or whatever. It's a learning curve, but at some point, we can't keep blaming everybody else.
Yeah.
We have the control to take control of responsibility.
Yeah.
And we have got to navigate our path. And that's so important.
Yeah, Minister D, and you said something is, and this is my perspective. It doesn't matter, I can tell you scripture all day long, but if
Mhm.
I'm walking around depressed, oppressed,
That's right.
and all this other stuff, what type of light is that? I can't be light walking around. People used to come up to me, no joke, and they'd be like, "You so happy to be single." Well, yeah, I got to be like, I like my life, like,
You're not
because
dead.
Right?
You're alive.
I know it's like, but I think for so long I was unhappy with my life because all these, people tell you you're supposed to be. And as I get older and I'm still not married, you get a lot of external pressure. Like, you ain't
Yes.
married yet. Like, sometimes it's like, you don't have anything else to ask me. Like, it's not how you doing. You ain't married. You dating? It's like what? But I'm gonna say this last thing I'm gonna say. I grew up Baptist. This is my last closing. You have 3 good closings. This is my last good closing. Is that I think for me, the most thing I can do with loving myself is giving myself grace. And that's
Yes.
something I didn't do for the longest time.
Yes.
And I think when I started really loving myself, I gave myself so much grace. And there were times where people would put a lot of external pressure on me. And I remember my counselor having that conversation. She was like, you're going to have to give yourself grace. It doesn't matter what other people expect of you. You give yourself grace. And when I tell you the freedom that has come with that, we have, and as women, we can be really, really hard on ourselves. And it's like, we have to walk in that. We give grace to everybody else. We have to give grace to ourselves. And
Yes.
do that. That's that higher level of love.
Yes.
Not saying anything's wrong with the other stuff, but that's that higher level of love that fuels you beyond, and you can take to different situations, is when you are able to give yourself grace and stand in it. And it don't matter. I'm about to see, you see that black woman rose up real quick. It doesn't matter who is saying you shouldn't. It doesn't matter who's mad because I'm giving myself grace. No, I deserve to give myself some grace.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not a denial of any of my faults, but it's like, I took off that cape long ago. My name is not Superwoman.
Yes.
So yes, under this dress.
Yes.
So it's like, no. So I'm allowed grace. And I think that's something that women, we don't really talk about, is the grace that we need for ourselves, and then the grace that we can give to one another.
Yes. Yes. That is awesome. You're right, because we can speak scripture all day long, but as Christian, as believers, if we're not living that, they can't see that. We need them to see the true, what true love is, and be a true example all the time, not behind closed doors or just outside in front of everybody else. We need to be able to display that at all times. That is so important, and we shouldn't allow anybody to rush us into anything, whether it's a relationship, marriage, children. You should do this now. Your clock is ticking and all this stuff. Yeah, it's still ticking with life. I mean, so we have to go with that. But for those that really want to know what love is, and you hear us talking about God's love, and we want to I'm gonna read 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. And that's 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. For anybody want to read that at your time. But that is something you should read every day, so you can understand. This is something that you can just say to yourself daily. Add that for some affirmations. Okay. 1 John 4:8 says, anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. And I'm going to read that again. Anyone who does not love does not love, does not know God, because God is love. So once you know what God love is and what it looks like, what it feels like, then you will know what love is for yourself to demonstrate. So those people that are not demonstrating love, that don't know what love is, that's because they don't know God's love. So they can't demonstrate what real love looks like or what it shall feel like. Okay, so I did want to share that with you viewers as well. So this is something that probably you can just start with, just from that, just for the basic understanding. Okay, so right now we're going to go and listen to Jennifer Johnson, and she is going to talk about celebrating singleness. Woo! Singleness for the single ladies.
Well, thank you, Dee, for that introduction. I have to say, you ladies have truly blessed me. I think we've all touched on similar topics. We've all, reiterated the same thing. But just celebrating life as a single female, I can definitely share my story that I shared with Dee. And we were just casual conversation, and I was just telling her there was a group of ladies, we all go to church together. Now, some of us have moved on, but during this particular time, we was all in the choir, we bonded. And one particular year, we've all had been in and out of relationships. This one year, we all said, hey, we're all single this year. We was like, wow, yeah, I guess we are. And they was like, you know what? Let's all get together and let's celebrate who we are. Let's celebrate us. Why wait for someone to take us out? And this was coming up to Valentine's Day. Why should we wait for a man to take us out, or, wait till we find the boo to take us out, or we're afraid to do something for ourselves? And I was like, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm used to travel, with my job, I had to travel, and so I had to learn how to eat by myself, travel by myself and do things by myself. So I said, you know what? I think that's a great idea. I say, let's pick a place. We decided we were going to dress up. We went to a nice restaurant. We went to Willie G's, really nice restaurant, picked a date, a time. You know what? No, it was Valentine's Day. As a matter of fact, it was Valentine's Day. It was about 7 of us. And we instead of waiting to get those gifts, we decided to do like a secret Santa. So we chose 5 things that we liked. We put it on paper, folded up real tight. Everybody pulled a name. We set a limit like $25, $30 because we was going to this really nice restaurant. We all met up. And we, made a reservation. We met our waiter, and he was like, wow, I can't believe all you beautiful women are single. And we were like, yeah, it's their loss, so it's their loss. They messed up, So we gave him a hard time, but he really took care of us. But he was just like, wow, I never met a group of women who would actually go out on Valentine's Day and celebrate themselves. We fellowshiped, we had a good time. We always said, you know what, regardless from this day going forward, even if we're in a relationship, we're not, you know what, we're going to pull together and we're going to come and do something for ourselves. And we had a good time. We fellowshiped, we laughed and talked just about life. We didn't male bash or anything like that, but we were all in a good place in life. And we encouraged each other. We said we will always do that going forward. Even though we're not at the same church anymore, we moved on. But you know what? We're still friends. We still support each other. No matter what's going on, we can pick up the phone. We can call each other if we need encouragement, if we need somebody to pray for us. But we did that. We knew we had to. We knew it was a nice restaurant, so we spent money, and it was in February, and I'm a February baby. So they actually surprised me, brought a cake out, and saying happy birthday to me. We exchanged gifts, and it was just so much fun. And we was like, you know what? We're not going to not do things for ourselves. From that point on, we all made a commitment to ourselves that if there was something we wanted to do, we're going to do it. If we out of our comfort zone, we like go have lunch. I shared my story traveling. I had to travel for work. And I'm like, y'all, that was the scariest thing. I had to go sit at a restaurant by myself, because I didn't want to eat in a hotel. I'm like, I had to go eat, travel by myself, drive to different locations, and I shared my story with my girlfriends, and we all shared. whether it was fear and us coming to our fears, our strengths, what we enjoyed doing, what we wanted to do, our bucket list. We did all of that. And from that day forward, we decided we were going to support each other. Hey, whatever you want to do, your fears, if you're ready to face them, we're going to be there with you every step of the way. But it was just enlightening to do that. And you know what? And I've done that going forward. I never wait on anyone to take me or to take me to go do things, because you miss out on life. You look up one day and you're like, wow, my bucket list, I should have done this, or I didn't do that, I regret it. But you live like every day you live every day to its fullest. And you have those good group of girlfriends that will support you. And no matter what, it just makes it that much better, and you want to achieve your list of things that you want to do. So I definitely encourage, other young women, don't let Valentine's Day or any other special day be a reason for you not to celebrate. Celebrate yourself. Take yourself out, get dressed up, you look good, you feel good, you go out and you do what makes you happy and not depend on anyone else. So that's my story.
All right, well, thank you. Ladies, you have anything else you all want to share? Any last words before we close? Just unmute yourself so we can all just talk among each other.
I just want to say something kind of funny. I listened to something Miss Jamila said, and she was talking about self-care. Now, that's not the funny part, but I didn't realize that even though I learned to love myself, I wasn't doing for myself. I'd gotten so used to doing for my kids. Let's just go to the most recent thing. I'm a mom. I have 5 kids. And so I was finding joy in going to the football practice, going to the soccer practice, going to this, going to that, going to the modeling thing, whatever they were doing. And I wasn't, it took my children to teach me to do something for myself, because I was happy. I thought I was happy. I was doing just fine. I didn't even know I'd go out and get my nails done by myself. I didn't realize it. And one day my daughter, my youngest is 20, Kayla, and I think she was about 8, her and my niece. And one day I came home from work. At the time I worked so many hard, long hours. I came home from work and my daughter said, Mama, I know what you need. And she had ran this tub of hot water. And I don't know who taught her what a spa was, because I hadn't taught her. And she had these little rocks and they was hot. They was hot rocks. She had candles lit all over the bathroom. She had this purple light, because I love purple. She had Prince playing in the background, because I'm a Prince fan too. And she Mama, come on, we're gonna do the hot rocks on the back like they do at the spa. And I was like, they do that at the spa? And I was trying to figure out where she found these little rocks. And this child had went in my fish tank and took all the marbles out and boiled them. and she got me in the bathtub. Mama, get in the bathtub. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get in the bathtub. And she said, okay, now I think you're supposed to turn around and put these on your back. And I was like, wait, what you putting on me? And I saw it. And the reason why I'm telling you this really silly, really funny thing is because it took her to say, Mama, you deserve this. Even though she took the fish rocks out the fish tank and tried to put it on back, she just knew that it was some kind of hot rocks, but she thought that was relaxing for her mom, right? She got some little champagne glasses and poured me some apple juice, and she took some crackers and some cheese and put it in the oven, and it was all melted and brown, and I ate it because that's my baby. And she was trying to do something for her mom. But what it taught me, and I know she gonna watch this, Kayla, I still love you, girl. Just don't do that no more. What that taught me was the youngest of 5 children could see that I was loving them, and I was putting everything into them that I hadn't put anything into me. And what they started doing was, and I noticed it over the years, they would put money in my purse, or they just do something nice, and they would say, Mama, and I catch it. Mama, if you don't go get your nails done, Mama, if you don't go get your eyebrows done, Mama, I wasn't into that. I used to say, I don't need to do all of that stuff. And they were like, no, you'll love it. This is for you. Do something for you. And I started doing it. I started being able to go get my nails done by myself, get my toes done by myself. Every now and then, if somebody do something to this head of hair of mine, and it'd be okay because I can be in the mirror and I'll be like, well, I am kind of cute, kind of, but it was for me, right?
Yeah.
But it took my children to show me that now I won't say I didn't love myself. I did. I had got to a point where I knew I was learning my worth, my value. I loved me.
Yes. Yes.
However, I wasn't putting forth any action behind that. I was still putting all that love into somebody else. Took my kids to show me. Yeah, self-work, self-love, self-care. You know, thank you, Jamila, for even mentioning that again, because I still get caught up in that. You know, I still get caught up, babe, what you need? Babe, what you want? Let me think about my husband. Let me think. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I love my husband. He's my king. He deserves it.
Mhm.
However, I love me. I love me.
Yes, yes.
Yes, I love me. Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that.
And that queen love herself, that queen is gonna love that king too. So that's all good. All good. Anybody else want to say something?
Can I say something to Jamila? I just know what it takes to get your PhD done. And I have to give you kudos to do everything that you do. And like you said, you are busy. You are busy. So that is amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Takes a lot of prayers, a lot of tears.
Yes.
You know, the thing that I would want to say finally is that one of the most powerful weapons that we have as it relates to navigating life is knowing that you're loved of God, but knowing that through that love, I am enough. And it sounds like a cliche,
Right.
but it's really not, because one of the things I've come to learn is that it's situation specific. You know, one of the things I had to learn in this program is that, you know, one of the only brown people in my program is that I'm enough. I'm enough to still be here. You
Yep.
know, in another situation, it may be I'm enough to do X, Y, Z. And so I think we have this blanket, I'm enough, but it depends on the situation. But you have to go in knowing in that situation that whatever that situation is, you are enough. And anybody who have issues with you being enough is their issues, and it's not yours.
That's right.
That's cool.
That's right. That is good. 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 I have one last thing to say. I want everyone to know that God love is so amazing. His love is so unconditional. He is there for us anytime, 24/7. You can tell him anything. You can cry to him. You can tell him your deepest secrets. He won't tell anybody. He is everything that you need. He is limits. There's no limits to him. No limits. Try him. Understand. Want you to know that God has love from you from the very beginning. He wants the best for you. He wants the best for you. His love is so strong and is so real. He forgives you. You also have to forgive yourself. Let go of baggage, let go of the hurt, let go of the past and move forward. You can't move forward until you are healed. Forgiveness starts the healing process. Forgive yourself and forgive those that have hurt or harmed you in any fashion. Let it go, give it to God so you can breathe, so you can relax, so you can be free, so you can live life abundantly. That is so important. We need you to understand that God's love never changes. It never changes. Never changes. See, that's the difference. People, you make us mad. We don't want to be bothered with you anymore. We in love with you today. I love with you tomorrow. Some love is like an on and off switch, but God love is forever. So that's all we have for you on today. We hope that you got something out of this. So share the video, look at the video, and be blessed and be happy, and just know that God loves you, and that's enough. Enjoy, and thank you kindly. Bye-bye.